Hello, my name is Catherine Oviatt. I work in the area of early learning for Horizon School Division. I am here to share with you some of the learning that I have been doing lately, some of which I wish I had known when I was a young mother, raising my own children, much of which has been very reaffirming as I reflect on that often challenging parenting experience. I hope you will find both through this series, things that let you know that you are doing great, and some things that you can think about that you perhaps had not considered yet. As a mother of 5 children and grandmother of 10, and also a teacher of over 25 years, these are the takeaways from my years of experience and the teaching of experts. Woven in to these ideas that come from experts are some of my own reflections of things that I have learned since my journey began. I'm going to do that again. Hello, my name is Catherine Oviatt. I work in the area of early learning for Horizon School Division. I'm here to share with you some of the learning that I have been doing lately, some of which I had wished. Hello, my name is Catherine Oviatt. I work in the area of early learning for Horizon School Division. I'm here to share with you some of the learning that I have been doing lately. Some of this I wish I had known when I was a young mother raising my own children. And some of this has been very reaffirming as I reflect on that often challenging parenting experience. As a mother of 5 children and grandmother of 10, and also a teacher of over 25 years, there are takeaways from my years of experience and also the teaching of experts. These are not my own ideas, but certainly some of my reflections are mixed in with what we have learned since my journey began with the birth of my first child 37 years ago. I am calling this first episode in this series The Power of Showing Up. It comes from the work of Daniel Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson in their new book entitled The Power of Showing Up. I think it is beneficial to think about where you are at and start there. We are all coming from different places during this time. Perhaps you are feeling very safe and secure right now, or at least that is what your neighbors see. Perhaps you're not as okay as you may appear or as others are, and perhaps you are feeling maxed out, both in your energy, stress, and also with respect to time restrictions. Or perhaps you're feeling extreme stress for whatever reason. Job security is always a huge stress during times like these. There are health concerns for yourself, close friends, family members, or just anxiety over the state and uncertainty of the world. As I've learned in my life, regardless of what is happening in the world around me, parenting doesn't change. I still have that job. So, what I'm offering in this first session is applicable to this time of transition and change, but is also just as applicable when things are not as stressful or even when they're joyful. When our children are born, we may have had a perception of what parenting was going to be. I know I did. Sometimes life creates circumstances where that concept is difficult to remember. Daniel Siegel reminds us that parenting is the hardest job in the world. We should also recognize that when tough times and when things are tough, that's when we do our best teaching. Sometimes that teaching isn't the lesson we wanted our children to learn. These are also the times when we may be at our worst. What we teach our children right now will impact their social and emotional ability to thrive throughout their lives. So, no pressure, parents. I'd like to talk to you about what showing up means and what being present means while you show up. The good news is showing up counts. Being in the room and physical space of our children is the most important thing we can do. If we just show up over and over, we create the bond with our children that they can count on us to be there, regardless. Being present means that we have an open awareness of what is happening when it is happening, or being in the moment. Sometimes the timing of those moments aren't always optimal or the best time for us, but that is the messiness of working with children. So, as I mentioned earlier, the first part is showing up. The next part I'd like to share with you is what matters when we show up. There are 4 things that research has shown that all children need. We'll call them the 4 S's. The first need a children has is to be seen. Being seen means being seen by your parents and all trusted caregivers. It means moving beyond noticing that the child is there, but seeing them for who they are, their emotions, their memories, what they're thinking, and valuing those pieces of them. It means feeling felt, and you may have experienced this with another associate of yours, that the person really gets you and really knows you. It means going beyond just paying attention to the outer behavior and saying, I saw you. And if that's all you're doing, you may not be truly seeing, but it means going beyond that behavior and truly connecting with our children. So, what does it mean to be felt or to feel felt? First of all, we stop expecting our children to be mini versions of ourselves and recognize that some children process information differently than we do. So feeling felt really means checking in and listening, really listening, including paying attention to what their body is saying, as well as their words. It means listening to their special interests. And that can be quite hard when children tend to fixate on one thing and get really excited about one thing and not be ready to move on when we think we're done. This is a time to get curious and figure out what is it that makes these things interesting to them. What is it about this thing that they really like? So being seen is the first S for children. The second S is to feel soothed. I think of feeling soothed as what happens when something or someone is fragmented, upset, sad, or broken. It's putting the pieces back together again. In order to take someone from a fragmented to a soothed or integrated, calm state, we need to pay attention. First, we need to see them. We need to notice when the child is distressed and try to behave in a way that can help them feel better. If we do this, we will help build in a circuitry of skills to self-regulate when we are not there. Self-regulate their brain, their anxiety, their behavior, their body. And the good news or the sad news is, difficult news is, that we can only do this if we are in a state of integration or calm ourselves. I think of the adage of pouring grease on a fire, which is not likely to reduce the crisis, when I think about my times when I have responded to my child's anger with anger, or when I've responded to a child's behavior in a state of high anxiety. So how do we do this? How do we take someone from a fragmented to a calm or integrated position? When a child is upset, it's important to help them move through it. We don't want to tell them it's okay when they're not feeling okay, or diminish their emotion ask them to stop it, but we should really help them to experience it and be seen in that moment. We don't want to diminish it or move too quickly through it or avoid it. One thing I used to do is send my child to their room until they were ready to calm down, instead of maybe, perhaps, sitting down with them in the moment and calming down with them. Being willing to go there and help them through it. One way that we can do that is to label it. I see that you're upset. I notice that you're getting frustrated. I get it that you're angry right now. In order to do this, we should really be in a good space ourselves. And for someone who is in an upset or dysregulated state, being around someone who is in a regulated state is soothing in and of itself. So the first S is to be seen, the second S to be soothed, and the third S is that children need to be safe. You will know that your child is safe or feels safe because they are free from danger, harm, pain, discomfort. But also, they are free to explore, try new things, take risks. When we think of safety, we think first and foremost that the child should be protected from harm. Sometimes, unfortunately, in my case, as I reflect back, I have been the source of that harm. I've been the source of that fear because I have not been in a regulated, calm state when I've approached my child at that time. So it's really important that we not be the source of that harm. And it's not just the obvious abuse or neglect that we associate with harming our children, but sometimes it's our anger, our stress, our anxiety that is acted out that can create, as Daniel Siegel says, terror for a child. Terror is a really difficult word, but sometimes in the heart of a child, that is how big fear is. The key is to slow things down, to help children co-regulate with you and not away from you, if at all possible. If we have those three things, having a child feel safe, seen, if we have those three things, where a child feels seen, feels soothed, and feels safe, then the fourth S is a given, feeling secure. The secure attachment is the most critical thing for a child. Research will tell you that children who transcend the most difficult of circumstances have one secure attachment in their life. That attachment creates equal trust and support. That one attraction if children have the other three S's, feeling seen, soothed, and safe, then the fourth S comes along naturally. And that S is being secure. Research will tell you that children who transcend the most difficult circumstances do so because they have one secure attachment in their life. That's all they need. Hopefully, it is a parent. Sometimes it's another caregiver. Sometimes it's multiple caregivers. But all children need to be resilient is one. When they have that attachment, they're able to take risks and try new challenges and then return back to you. And when we give them that experience, that will help them to be able to carry that throughout their life. If we allow our children to go out and explore new things in the world, new things even in your own home, that will provide that skill to them throughout their life. The other three combined, being seen, soothed, safe, result in this secure attachment. So they are very, very important. And when children have this secure attachment, they will have the resiliency they need to be able to move beyond our zone of influence when they're under our roofs and under our care to the world beyond. Parenting is a learning place. What we need to remember is that it's not a course where you get a diploma. Parenting is a learning place. It's not a course where you get a diploma. We get to mess up. We get to be imperfect. We get to be stressed. But we also have the opportunity to repair it. When we are not our best selves, we can recognize and acknowledge it. There is no such thing as perfect parenting. So we get many chances to do it again and again. When we mess up, which I did many, many, many times as a parent, it's important to recognize what we have done. Take a breath and be kind to yourself, realizing that, hey, we are not perfect and our situations are difficult. But also recognizing that if we can make the repair when the rupture happens, that we can repair that secure attachment and make sure that regardless of what is happening around us, that secure attachment remains tight. Remember that there is no right way to parent. It is a learn as you go practice. But the important thing is to be able to have those do-overs and repair them. During this time of crisis, I think it's important to recognize the awareness of children, even if they seem unaware. That right now, as Bill Nye says, the world is on fire, much the same way a house would be on fire. It's a time of change and uncertainty, and it might feel like this for children. They may feel the anxiousness, the anxiety that something is not right on the planet, and certainly we feel that as adults. But it is our ability to remain present, to ensure that our children are seen, soothed, safe, and secure, that will see them and us through this crisis and help them to move through it with resiliency and emerge with all of the things we want our children to experience through childhood, with memories of their happy, playful, joyful, and creative life as a child, even when things are difficult. For me, it was important to remember that often I felt like the days were long, but looking back, I will tell you the time is short. Our time of influence when children are under our roofs goes by all too quickly. My hope is that this episode in some way reaffirms the things that you are already doing, gives you some things to think about. The good news is that showing up matters. So congratulations, you win the prize that began when your child took her first breath. And the good news is that the journey is not over, and we have lots of do-over chances. I hope you enjoyed this first session. Our next session will be about what matters in supporting your child's development during this period of home learning. You will find that many of the things that you have always done are the things that help your child the most. You will find that some of the things you used to do intuitively, you will now do on purpose. And you may find a few simple things to add to your toolbox that will help you and your child on this journey. Until then, all the best to you and your family, from my family and from Horizon School Division. Take care.